Hi, I'm Eric and welcome to Middle Eastern News. Today we are going to talk about some current events occurring in the Middle East, but first I'm here to give you some background information on our region. The Middle East consists mostly of mountain ranges and deserts. The northern part of the Middle East is mountainous and the southern parts are full of harsh deserts. Naturally hot and very dry weathers can cause problems with shortages in water, but the Nile River provides a very reliable source of water. In fact, most of the cities built in the Middle East are either next to or near rivers because of the limited amount of fertile land available. The Middle East was originally given its name by an American naval strategist, Alfred Ayer Mahan, in 1902. He referred to the Middle East as the area between Mesopotamia and Burma. But before the Great War, the Middle East was referred to Iran, Afghanistan, and Central Asia. The shape of the Middle East also acts as a land bridge connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. The Middle East has a total population of around 246 million people, which is almost as many people in the United States. Although Saudi Arabia has a very large area of land, it has a generally small population due to the large amount of deserts. Arabs are the largest ethnic group as they make up 60% of the population in the Middle East. As for issues in the Middle East, some of the more common ones are government crises and civil wars constantly occurring. Until just a few years ago, the Middle East was one of the largest producers of oil in the world, but now they are suffering from shortages of oil. Now here is Emma with information on current issues in Lebanon.
As the war in Syria continues, many people continue to flee from the country into Lebanon. The number of registered Syrian war refugees who have fled into Lebanon exceeded 1 million. Lebanon now has the highest concentration of refugees as a percentage of the population in the world, with about 1 Syrian for every 3 Lebanese. And new refugees keep coming as the civil war, which by some estimates has left more than 150,000 people dead, runs into its 4th year. Each day, the United Nations registers 2,500 refugees in Lebanon, equivalent to more than 1 per person per minute. The Lebanese people have shown striking generosity, but are struggling to cope. Government and the United Nations officials have said they believe that the actual number of Syrians in Lebanon because of the conflict is much higher, because they do not register their presence. Already, gunfights between neighborhoods that support opposite sides in the war are routine in the northern city of Tripoli, and a series of car bombs believed to be linked to the Syrian conflict has killed dozens of civilians. Unlike some of Syria's other neighbors, Lebanon has not built camps for refugees, leaving them to search for accommodations in host communities, often in unfinished buildings, storerooms, or animal sheds. This has created tensions with the Lebanese, who often see the Syrians as a drain of resources. Half of the refugees in Lebanon are under 18, and only a quarter of the 400,000 school-age refugee children are in school. To handle the crisis, the Lebanese government, the United Nations, and other aid agencies say they need $1.89 billion for 2014, and that only a fraction of that amount has been given so far. As of now, the conflict in Syria has cost Lebanon $7.5 billion as it struggles to cope with hosting more than 1 million refugees from the neighboring country. The conflict has had a profound impact on Lebanon and Jordan, which also hosts around 600,000 Syrian refugees. The conflict that broke out in March 2011, with demonstrations against the regime of President Bashar al-Assad, descended into a civil war that has killed more than 160,000 people and driven millions from their homes. The World Bank is trying as much as possible to help the 2 countries that host the largest Syrian refugee populations. Lebanon's gross domestic product dropped 2.9 annually between 2012 and 2014, according to the World Bank estimates, while 170,000 Lebanese fell into poverty and the unemployment rate doubled to more than 20%. The World Bank warned that refugees in Lebanon and Jordan are putting extra strain on services such as water, electricity, waste disposal, primary education, and health, while increasing competition for scarce jobs. The people of these countries have demonstrated unprecedented generosity and cannot do it alone. Now on to Sydney with stories on social media in the Middle East.
Social media is a big part of many people's lives. In the Middle East, 94% of social network users have a Facebook account, and 61% wish to be able to voice their opinions on the internet based on surveys from Qatar, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, Tunisia, KSA, UAE, and Bahrain. Today I'm bringing 3 examples of how social media has recently affected the Middle East. In late May, dancers in the popular YouTube video that featured the song Happy by Pharrell Williams were arrested. The Tehran police chief arrested the 3 men and 3 women because their video was obscene, was against public morals, and was published online. The group was forced to repent on state TV by authorities. Even though the dancers have now been freed with bail, the director was not. This event sparked a lot of negative reactions, including one from Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, who tweeted #Happiness is our people's right. We shouldn't be too hard on behaviors caused by joy. Even Pharrell himself responded on Facebook by saying that he is extremely sad the kids were arrested for trying to spread happiness. Also, the #FreeHappyIranians was trending on Twitter. Furthermore, the National Iranian American Council made a statement referring to the Iranian authorities, saying there are forces within Iran's government who want to keep the Iranian people isolated from the world. Now on to a story that affects the US also. In order to spy on high-ranking US and Israeli officials, hackers from Iran use social media. They posed as government officials and journalists for 3 years and have connected with about 2,000 people. They also set up a fake website called newsonair.org and sometimes use the names of real reporters, their biographies, and pictures. The plan of the hackers was to make connections through social media with the people close to their target, such as friends, family, and colleagues. When the hackers reach their targeted individual, they try to establish their credibility by sending links to real news stories, but after that, they send the person to fake websites to steal their credentials and download harmful software. It seems that their goal is to obtain national security information. Facebook responded by removing profiles that were associated with the hackers, and they were looking out for suspicious activity. Also, LinkedIn says it is assessing the claims. The social media from the Middle East affects the tourists too. Qatar began a social media campaign to get tourists to be dressed modestly in public. They are using a Twitter and Instagram account, and Reflect Your Respect leaflets are being handed out. One of the leaflets say, if you're in Qatar, you are one of us. Help us preserve Qatar's culture and values. Please dress modestly in public places. They want tourists to be respectful of the Islamic country's values. Men are not allowed to wear vests and shorts. Women are banned from wearing crop tops, short dresses, and sleeveless clothing. There are also laws on public displays of affection and intimacy, and homosexuality is illegal. They can be arrested if caught. Also, alcohol is illegal except in hotel rooms. Nasar Al-Maliki, Chief of Public Relations at the Fanar Qatar Islamic Cultural Center in Doha, said that the campaign was launched to keep the kids from being exposed to the immodest clothing. And now on to Daniel for some updates on problems in Iraq.
Hello, my name is Daniel Sigurdsson. Now let us talk about problems pertaining to Iraq. During June 2014, 2 car bombings have injured Iraqi soldiers, killing at least 27 police officers. The bombing was started in Tahrawa, a small village with peaceful families from the Shabar ethnic group. The bombing has killed 7 of these civilians. The police officials have also reported that 43 other people were wounded. After the explosion occurred, the clashes broke out after gunmen tried to seize an army ammunition depot. The soldiers did put an end to this riot, but it cost them 6 soldiers' lives, and 5 others were wounded. There was also news that there was another clash. It cost 7 lives of security forces and 16 militants' life as well.
Overall, the Middle East is most likely getting worse, but there are ways it is getting better. The economy is losing a lot of money due to the amount of civil wars occurring. The loss of money makes it more difficult for Middle Eastern countries to stabilize their government. Additionally, whenever peace agreements are going to be signed, there always seems to be some sort of conflict between the two groups. The lack of government order makes citizens feel unconfident in their country, believing they can do a better job. This thought causes the people to revolt against the government seeking power. On a positive note, the government officials are trying their best to satisfy the people.
I'm sorry. I was in my head thinking I was talking too fast, and then
Yeah, did you just slap her?